Hey guys, it's Vandy. This is my Carpe Vanguard deck profile, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, comment, subscribe, also sorry. This time we're covering DZLM set 1 for Prism Image Vert. So, Vert is, weirdly enough, the deck I've been asking for so long, but in a different way than I expected it would be, where I've been asking for, like, alternate ride lines of archetypes. And yeah, there's a Prism archetype, and yeah, we got Vert, but I don't know, I just didn't expect Vert to be the thing that we got the alternate ride line for. That's not for me to say that I hate it. I find it interesting. I'm just saying I feel it's weird that Vert, after like sets of asking, it's given to Vert randomly of all decks that it could have been given to. Either way, let's go and see what we got, because honestly, it is a nice and fun deck to play. First up, we have our Energy Generator. It's our ride deck crest. You might have one ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck, when you ride, put this card into your crest zone, and energy charge 3 if you win a second. It continues, you may have 10 energies, and auto begin your ride phase, energy charge 3, then act once per turn, energy plus 7, draw a card. All around pretty solid. You get a free 3 energy every turn. If you win second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And you know, the once per turn draw effect is nice if you're not playing a bunch of energy cards all at once. This deck doesn't have that many energy blasters, so you're able to draw a card pretty consistently here, and it's just all around a nice card to have. So that's our Energy Generator. Definitely not mandatory at all. I mean, it totally isn't mandatory. The rules definitely don't require it. And then we have our starter in Bermuda Triangle Cadet Shizuku. Okay, this is my one gripe with this deck. I love the ride line that they gave Vert, but I hate the fact that they chose to give it to Vert. The fact that they chose to make up an entirely new line for Pacifica, but they had the OG Bermuda line and they chose to put it off into Vert. I don't know why. I don't like it, but it's... I love the line itself, I just hate the fact of how they did it. Anyways, Shizuku, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, armor, one point per second, draw a card, stand, start, punch, free draw if you go second. None of the ride line really requires Shizuku, so you can pick whatever starter you want. I just to make it Shizuku because it is Vert's official ride line, but also because she's just cool, and I'll say, like I said, I like this ride line a lot, so one of her in the ride deck. Then we have our Trigger in Mysterious Twins, Romeo and Rumia, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger in your deck. When revealed as your trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose a move, it gets plus move of the turn. If revealed during jet check, activate its just effect, which you get during this fight you get during your turn. All your rear guards get plus tons of power. Arm pretty solid. Your entire board getting plus 10k offensively during your turn is great, especially if you pull this early enough to where it procs for, like, say for example, your grade 2 and onward turns, which is just all around powerful, especially if you play like me where you just try to aggro your opponent down. Oh, your opponent will have one hell of a time, especially once you get to grade 3 and if you win second and you get the quote-unquote double persona ride. That's going to be a fun day. So I don't know, Romeo and Rumia is a very solid, like, grade over trigger to have. You could run Vana for consistent multi-attacking. You could run Esphoria for recycling. You could even run the Dark over trigger for healing and calling. But I'd rather have Romeo and Rumia because in the long game, they're going to do a lot more. And yeah, that 10k adds up. Hell, one turn of that 10k is enough. But honestly, two of them, you're probably dead if it's 2 grade 3 turns, especially if, you know, the double persona things applied. Then we have our triggers. It's probably one of the only decks in this booster and one of the only decks in a while that I haven't done this with, or that I have done this with. 3 copies of No Skip Palavi, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power, front triggers, guards, points, vanguards, grade 3, grade 5,000 shield, 20k shield, nice to have. It's a front trigger, so defensively can help increase your front row's power to 10k, and then offensively, well, you're just adding more numbers. And to be fair, the entire point of this deck is just stack numbers on the front row, so, you know, might as well continue the theme with the triggers. And weirdly enough, we don't have draw triggers, which means we run 8 crits, 4 copies of Heavy Lady God Leave, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power. You do not have to run God Leave. I put God Leave in this deck for the same reason I put it in the other ones. I was just too lazy to change it out. But to also be fair, God Leave does fit Vert's theme of being a mermaid. So 4 of her, and then we have 4 copies of Precious and Edwidge, grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power. Coco Trigger, auto rear guy, and battle. She boosts Shove to Soul, 2 region, 2k for the turn. Okay, that soul ability can and will make the difference in your games depending on how you open. There have been games where I've opened more of the Soul Blast half of this deck than I've opened more of the other cost half of this deck. So yeah, Edwidge might make honestly the difference between you winning and losing. So if you ever get the chance to call an Edwidge and not necessarily hard minus from it, I suggest taking that chance because it might make the difference between you winning and losing. But 8 crit though for the pressure, because again, we're gonna stack numbers so the front row via the front triggers and, you know, persona right effects. So might as well have crit pressure for a Vanguard since it's not restanding. And then we have 4 copies of Diva of Extaria Georgina, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, 15 I said, not 50. You can really make this any hero you want. I choose to make it Georgina just because, well, she's more of a mermaid closer to, I guess, traditional Bermuda Triangle standards. So I like to run her here. You can really run any of the Lyrical Monasterio triggers you want. I choose to make it Georgina, like I said, just for that reason alone. You can even make the counter heals. I just don't like the counter heals too much personally. But I run the 4 heals for recovery, 8 crits for pressure, and 3 fronts because why the hell not? Then we move on to our grade 1s. 3 copies of a card I am so glad I was... Okay, let me, real quickly, before I go on this, let me just insert story time. The day before Vert got revealed, I was so confident that Vert was going to be a continuation of the Prism line. So whenever that happens, like whenever an old deck gets support, if I feel like it, I will go find the English arts of those Japanese cards and shove them into tabletop. So when I'm recording at 2 a.m. in the morning, I don't have to read card text as like on like a white background. I can just like actually read the card. Well, Vert sadly didn't do that and went on her own deck. But when I was grabbing those English cards, I took note of the fact that Niborio over here just says Prism and doesn't require a specific Vanguard. So suddenly, even though Vert takes a different line with the Prism deck, she still procs off their skills. So anyways, Niborina, Grade 1 boost 5 Kashio base, auto rearguard when your unit with Prism in its card name is placed on another rearguard circle in the same column as this unit, that place unit gets 5,000 power for that turn. All around pretty solid. While this deck doesn't really run the other 2 Prism grade 1s, the other 2 Prism units whose names I don't remember because neither of them can be used because they both require Labrador. It does buff up Clear, it does buff up Rosa, and it does buff up Vert if for some reason you call her the rear guard. And, you know, being able to add 5k in a deck that can consistently multi-attack free once per turn, or not even once per turn, it's literally free multiple times a turn. Niborina is just a all-around very solid grade 1. The only way her skill could be better if she also gained the 5k, but honestly, I'm fine with her just giving the unit in front of her 5k, because that means you don't have to boost with her, and that's typically the problem with multi-attack decks. We're thinking of when and how to boost, but being able to make it so that the unit in front of her hits regardless is all-around pretty solid. So the Niborina, I see her enough to where I'm comfortable running her at 3. Then we have 4 copies of Diva of Deep Blue Fun Seal. Grade 1 boost, 5 Kashio deck base, contains rear guard. This unit gets 5,000 power for each time your grade 3 or greater Vanguard Vert's card name is placed that turn. So since it's a continuous skill, you can place her after you do all your Vert combos and she'll get the 5k regardless. So if you place Vert twice, plus 10. If you place Vert once, plus 5. If by some unholy miracle of God you place Vert 3 times, I don't think that's possible in this deck, but I mean, if you found a way to do it, then good on you. Then she'll be a 23k base. Either way, Fun Seal is a nice grade 1 beat stick. She's definitely a nice early game swinger, and I really love her art just like being deep down in the dark blue and then having like this one shiny star. Again, because I love shining stars, but the Lyrical Monasterio booster where literally everything had the same background ruined that concept for me. So anything that looks like remotely unique is really cool to me, and that includes Fun Seal. Then we move on to 4 copies of Prism Image Clear. So interesting that Vert gets a Searcher set 1. Grade 1 boost 5 Kashio deck base. Auto when placed on rear guard circle. Ditch a hand card. Search the deck or draw for up to 1 grade 3 card with Vert in the card name. Reveal it. Add it to hand. If you search your deck, you shuffle it. And then continues rear guard during your turn. If you have a grade 3 or Vanguard Vert in the card name, 5,000 power. Okay, so 13k base isn't that bad. Let's just focus on this skill real quickly. This non-grade restricted search ability. You can proc that skill on grade 1 turn. You can proc it on grade 2 turn. You can Soul Blast a Vert from Vert's own skill to Superior Right a Vert in hand, and then call Clear to get that Vert right back if you're already out of the ones in deck. Clear is such a good grade 1 because she deck thins. She can do it literally whenever, and she's a 13k swinger, so she at worst case scenarios can just poke into people. And also Prism, which means she is proccable with Nibornia. This card is amazing. I genuinely don't know what more to say about that. She does everything she needs to do as a grade 1 support card, and the fact that she's not a triple rare and Rosa is, no offense to Rosa because I spam Rosa a lot more than I spam Clear, but the fact that Clear is as good as she is, she deserves the triple rare slot. Girl is amazing. 4 of. Also just great for early game rush, which we all know I'm very fond of, so having 11 grade 1s is a plus. Anyways, 4 copies of Mermaid Idol Ellie, grade 1 boost, 0 souls, base, can change sets on by 4% tools a deck, on spot on guard circle. Choose on units, it cannot be hit on the battle if your hand is to remove cards, and choose guard from hand, start standard PG. Nothing just specified, it basically means if this only one of the cards in your hand placed on guard circle, you don't have to discard what's great, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game. Spam the ever-living hell out of these, and then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you, you guard with this, you give him the middle finger, you get to your Vert turn, you hard Persona Ride them to death, and then you just wait until they die from aggro. All around, Ellie's a very solid PG. You can really run any of the PGs for Lyrical Monasterio. I just choose to make it Ellie because A, this is an encounter deck, so you know it's Bermuda Triangle units, and I also choose to make it Ellie because this card was revealed the same day that Vert was revealed, so 4 of Ellie. And then we have not four copies, sorry. We have 1 copy in the ride deck of Mermaid Idol Sedna. None in the main deck because sadly she has no rearguard skills. Grade 1 boost, 5k show deck, base auto rode upon by top Idol Aqua, soul boss 1, check top 7, choose up to 1 grade 2 or grade unit from 1 level, put your hand shuffle your deck. Okay, I love this Bermuda Triangle line in particular. Again, I question why it was given to Vert, but the line is so good because it answers it gives the answer to... That's the same fucking thing. It gives me what I've been asking for the entirety of D, or at least the majority of D, and I'm glad that it was given to Bermuda Triangle with some of my favorite units. I just wish they would extend it to other places, because that's a really good skill. A Soul Blast 1 for a generic top 7 grade 2 or greater search, it can be anything. That can be a Persona Ride. In this deck, yeah, it's like Vert, Rosa, whatever the hell these are, but in other decks, you can use it in Chris Rain, fetch the Innocent Orange, I think her name's Anges, you know, the top 5 caller, or it could be the other grade 2 who's pink, who I think her name's Falsette, I don't really remember, but the thing that it was dropped in set 2. In Kyrie, it gets your multi-attack setuppers. Like, this card is so generically good because it hits everything, and I love this about Sedna. For those of you that don't know, the reason why I like Bermuda in V, specifically, not Anj, what was it? No, it is Anj. I don't know why I was about to question that. Oh yeah, Anj, is because Sedna came out that set, and I loved Sedna. She was my favorite top 5 searcher, because she was an easy 5k. I always loved doing the Sedna play, call Sedna, top 5, whether I get something or not, doesn't matter. Ride Aqua, or play Aqua in the same column, use Aqua skill, bounce Sedna, draw a card, ditch a card, call Sedna right back, check top 5 again, probably get a grade 3, add 5k to her, after I call something else to her column, add 5k to both Aqua and Sedna, and basically board rush my opponent. That's where I got more comfortable with this board rushing people with numbers. What I've said on the ride deck, like, she may not have that free 5k skill that the V Sedna made me like, but it's a generic skill that works as long as you ride Aqua, who is also incredibly generic. So one of her in the ride deck, she's honestly a good grade 1. Then we have 4 copies of What Color Is Your Wish Valspawn. Grade 2 and set 5k shield, 10k base. Auto, when she's discarded from your hand during your ride phase. Soul Boss 1 and Bot Decker to draw a card. And, okay, pretty much here's the thing. If you open up with more than 2 Valsplins, you will probably have a soul problem in this deck at some point in the game. And then Auto, when placed on Vanguard circle with Persona of this turn, Card Boss 1, you and Vanguards plus 5,000 power to your front row until the end of the turn is what that unit gets the skill of. Which is nice because that ability stacks and pretty much kind of automatically tells you what the whole game plan of this deck is. I mean, you can go first or second with this deck and it'll do fine, but you want to be able to hit Persona Ride turn, proc her skill off during that Persona Ride turn to give you plus 20 to front row, then proc off at least 1 Valspun to give you a total of plus 25 to front row. And hell, if you end up bouncing up Valspun via Vert skill and then call her right back, plus 30 to front row via Vanguard skill. So it's pretty solid. Valspun works to keep you in the game a little bit longer by bot decking herself to draw a card. Just, you know, again, be careful with your soul. And she also gets you 5k to front row once you hit that Persona Ride turn. Though remember, specifically Persona Ride and not Superior Ride, the Axis Persona Ride. Very important for mechanics when it comes to Vert skills. So 4 of her. Then we have 4 copies of our way to pretty much mitigate this problem over here. 4 copies of a little demonic method, Valfair. I really love how I instinctively was ready to put Valfair in Sagitta without knowing what Sagitta did, and then Sagitta didn't use it, and I was really disappointed, but I kept Valfair on my computer anyway, so I was like, I feel like there's going to be a deck that's released that's going to need it, and well, Vert came along, and lo and behold, Valfair came in useful, so I was really glad I kept her ready. Anyways, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Honestly, placed on Rearguard circle, you may soul charge 1, not mandatory if you don't want to, so if you're afraid of decking out, or you're afraid of seeing triggers from your soul charge ability. God, do I know that feeling. But yeah, if you're spamming Valspun 24/7, you're probably going to need that soul charge. And then if you want to, Caraboss 1, draw a card. Only do this skill if you know you're dead if you don't do it. Because you're going to want to say that CB for Valspun turn, you're going to want to say that CB for multi-attack, you're going to want to say that CB for maybe this draw skill instead. All around, Valfair is just a solid grade 1 or grade 2, but you got to just be aware about that skill timing. At least the soul charge is free. And then auto rearguard when she attacks into a grade 3 or grade unit. If you have a copy of the Vanguard in your soul, 5,000 power to the end of the battle. So 15k swinger just by, I don't know, free Superior Ride. Yeah, she's good. She gets you soul. She gets you a possible free draw. She's a 15k swing almost easily. Just easy 4 of in this deck. Then we have 4 copies of Prism Image Rosa. She's a grade 2 with intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto, she's placed on the rear guard circle. Choose a grade 3 card Vert in this card from your hand. You may reveal it if you reveal the card or your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Vert. This unit gets 5,000 power for the turn, and then counterboss 1, draw a card. Arm pretty solid because she gets the 5k regardless, and I love how she kind of references the old G cards where at the end of the G, a lot of them became, instead of 9k grade 2s, became 10k grade 2s, but involved you either revealing or having the specific grade 3 that they go for on the Vanguard circle to not lose 5k. So I love how here, she already has the 10k base guaranteed, but being able to either reveal a Vert or already have a Vert on Vanguard circle and then get the 5k for free, and then if you want to CB1 to draw a card in your crease hand, you very much can. And she procs while both players are at lower grades, so you don't have to worry about getting rushed down when your opponent gets to grade 3 first, because you can still use this skill to proc hand cards. And then auto rear guard, when her attack hits into anything, Vanguard or rear guard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Vert in the card name, counter charge 1, bounce to the hand. Okay. When you play as aggressively as me and you just spam down 2 of these to your side columns and then spam the fuck out of either Claire or Rosa, you're automatically threatening you just consistently countercharging and bouncing your units. So, you know, they can't kill Rosa because she's already leaving the board long before they kill her. And she's also getting countercharge out of it too with pressure. And she is a non-once per turn countercharger, which is important if you just swing with her 3 times, because 1 from her attack, 1 from a second attack from her, and then you can bounce on the rear guard via Vert just to call her right back and possibly hit a 3rd time. Aron Rosa is a very solid grade 2. Like her skill a lot, adds hand cards, adds resources back. What's I like about her? Easy 4 of. Then we have 1 copy in the ride deck of Top Idol Aqua, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto ruled upon by a grade 3 Mermaid. First time in, I think, forever, if ever, that we've gotten a card in D that specified a card type. Check the top 5, seal to 1 grade 2 or greater unit card from bundle reveal, put your hand, shuffle your deck. This card is so good in my opinion, because just like Sedna, yeah, it's only a top 5 search and you have to ride upon a Mermaid, but again, it's for any grade 2 or greater unit. Like any at all. Like, I just did the Kyoka deck profile like 20 minutes before this. That Kyoka deck profile, if you ran, okay, to be fair, Kyoka's not a mermaid, but if Kyoka was a mermaid, this would be fetchable for Arche. Or let's take a mermaid line. Let's take Kairi, for example. All of your units that you need. Or the other Prism deck. All their shit's mermaid. Or Pacifica. Or any of the Lyrical Monasterio and counter decks they make from this point onward. It's just a free top 5 search. I love Top Idol Aqua a lot. She's great. She's very easy to use. She's super consistent. One of her in the ride deck. Like, I'm glad that, well, first off, they introduced the idea of using specific types for ride deck, which is cool. But, like, it's just a free generic top 5 search. Why wouldn't you like this? And then move on to our grade 3s. 4 copies of Perfect Shape Parfonia. Basically in the sense of if I pull her, I'm going to win. If I don't pull her, I'm not going to win. Grade 3, 10% 13k base, auto rear guard. When you're grade 3, grade Vanguard Vert, and his card name is placed, either by abilities or normal. Shuffle to soul, check top 5, just 1 card from one of them, call to rear guard, shuffle the deck. Okay. It sounds really weird having a card in here that's pretty much just replaced itself. But A, she goes to soul, so she sets you up for a Vert and a Volsh pun spam if you need it. But B, she just replaces herself. So I don't know, you could hit a Rosa off this, you could hit a Valfair, or if you did what I did one game and got really lucky with it, you could just hit double clear, get double search, and have 2 13k boosters. Pretty solid workaround if you ask me. Parvonia is all around a very good grade 3, like either way though. Like 1 going off is good enough as is, but then having like 2 go off, especially because she procs off via Vert skill, so you can call them to board after like you ride for turn, but then like have Vert's ability go off after these guys enter the board, and then use those skill to not only replace the soul that you lost from Vert, but also just so you get another rear guard out of it that honestly may make the difference in case you don't have like a good booster in hand, because maybe your entire hand's triggers, like you're me, and you just keep opening with your triggers, then she can just replace them. Overall, she's a good grade 3, and I honestly do like her skill a lot. I was a little bit hesitant when I first read her, but honestly after my first game with her, she was nice, so 4 of. Then we have our last card in the deck, the grade 3 that disappointed me on realization that we were getting a different ride deck, but then at the same time the grade 3 that intrigued me almost immediately because it's all Persona Ride skill. 1 of in the ride deck, 3 of in the main deck of Prism Image Vert. Grade 3, Twin Giant, Persona Ride, 13k base, act Vanguard. Once per turn, if you did not ride with the card's ability this turn, Soul Boss 1, 2 up to 1 card from your hand with the same card name as this unit and ride it as stand. If you wrote a card, draw a card, then choose one of your Vanguards, it gets 10,000 power for that turn. So she's at least a 23k with pretty much replacing herself, so like kind of a Persona Ride. And if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, instead of just the Vanguard getting 10k, you get, specifically the Vanguard gets continuous Vanguard, all your front row units get 10k, basically a Persona Ride. Except specifically, it's an ability that is quote-unquote nullifiable because it goes to the Vanguard. So if there's ever a skill that turned off Vanguard abilities that was similar to Blockdemire but didn't turn off fighter abilities, Vert would kind of die to that. But because that's different from Persona Riding, it doesn't, trigger Valspun skill, but you can Persona Ride and then still use her skill because Persona Ride is not counted as riding by card abilities, and pretty much give your entire farmer a plus 20k. Pretty solid. And then, you know, we talked about like the Valsprim play earlier and make it 25 or 30 depending on your situation. And then auto Vanguard when she attacks and anything, rear guard, Vanguard, doesn't matter the grade. CB1, choose up to one of your rear guards, bounce it to hand, choose up to one grade 3 card from your hand, call it to rear guard. The best part about this skill, and something I figured out during that game where I tested Vert out, is none of that ability is required. It's like Chronojet G from Time Leap, where you can choose to do half of a skill and then just choose not to do the other, and vice versa. For example, with Vert here, you can choose not to bounce and still call a grade 3 because, say, for example, you bounced both of your front row Rosas and you had nothing else on board. You could just CB1 to call a Rosa back. Or, in case you wanted to bounce your units but it wasn't worth calling something because maybe your opponent pulled a trigger, you can just CB1, bounce the Rosa, and then just call shit. So, Vert is all around a very solid grade 3. She's at least a 20, as long as you have another copy of her, she's a 23k guaranteed and draw the turn you use her skill. If you're Persona Road, you know, the 23 or plus 10k the whole board, or front row I mean, and then, you know, the extra rear guard call / bounce / whatever the hell how you choose that skill. All around Vert is like a very solid grade 3. I love her a lot. I think she's like interesting the way she's done, and I really cannot wait to see how like they support her further from here, especially because like all the numbers she can get. Again, 20, 25, assuming you only pull it off once, plus maybe this over trigger. Man, your opponent's in for one hell of a time when it comes to front row rush. So 3 of Vert in the main deck, 1 of them in the ride deck. Without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck is very fun to play. I know this ride line is generic, like that's literally what I kept preaching this entire time, but if you want to like try out the ride line in its own original deck like this one, I would definitely suggest giving this deck a try out for that alone, because again, the ride line is so unique. It literally is the only one that targets by like typing and not by whatever the Vanguard is. It searches for literally anything that's generic as all hell, not to mention the fact that like the Vanguard has pseudo Persona Ride skill on top of a Persona Ride, and also has like one of the most interesting interactions with how her skill actually works. It has a good amount of support going into her and acts like an alternate line because now we have 2 different Prism decks. It has a really weird supporting grade 3, but a nice supporting grade 3 at that. So without further ado, I'm going to have this one here. I definitely recommend you guys check this out. Again, I personally did not like this deck the second it was revealed, but then after playtesting it and kind of seeing it in action, I really do think it's fun. So I'm going to this one here. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to send up your Vanguards.